Hello. So in this video we will be selecting and filtering some data. We will be using conditions, multiple filters, and the query method. So let's start by import pandas as PD, shift enter. Then let's I already have a file here in the file system, so let's bring that in. Let's import df as in data frame, PD as in pandas, read CSV, and video 05 pirates.csv. Let's shift enter. Let's just look at it. And here we go. Let's start by df.info. So we have a total of 9 columns, 20 rows, 20 non-null. Here's the name of our columns, and here's the data type. Object, which in pandas means string, and then bounty is integer, age integer, has devil fruit boolean, fights won, fights lost. Okay, so let me just see how it looks printed. Print data frame. So since it does not fit, it does this little slash and then continues down. I think there's a way to sort this. So if we just df and look at it, of course we can always df dot head and see only the first columns. Okay, so let's start selecting. So we did a little column selection in video 3. Let's do a quick recap. So let's df and then with the bracket notation bounty, and we get a series. And if we want multiple columns, let me delete this. Df dot head and then just do 3. And if we want multiple columns, we need to, as a parameter, do a list. Like let's choose first name. We stole name, and then do crew and bounty. So we passed in a Python list into the bracket selector, and we get back a data frame. Now, if we want all columns except one, let's do for example, df02 is equal to data frame punto dot drop columns equal, and then I guess we pass in a list. This list will contain only one hometown, and then df02, and there df02 is a new data frame without this column because we dropped it from the original. So filtering stuff, this is where it starts getting interesting, right? So let's do an example. Pattern is always the same. We put a condition inside the square bracket. So df, and then inside we want where the bounty is greater than 0. And I made a mistake. df here. The df bounty is a series, and where in that series or column the value is greater than 0, there's where it will put a mask on the data frame. And here we got back a data frame where the bounty is greater than 0. Because if we remember, this inner part returns like a mask, where on the series or column bounty the values are greater than 0. So it places that series boolean column as a mask on the data frame. So let's do another example. df and then our brackets, and then df age greater or equal to 19, and there we go. Only where in this column the value is greater than 19. Now let's look at exact matches. So let's show the Marines. So df, and then what of our df? Well, let's mask something. Df crew equal Marine. Helmpo, Kobe, Morgan, Full Body, and Captain Smoker. So remember, double equal signs means compare these to this. And single one is assigned. Two of them means compare these two. So now the counterpart. Not equal to, not equal. And we get the data frame where the rows have a value in the crew column, anything except Marine. Okay, so now let's do an example on the has devil fruit, which is already a boolean. So here let's do it the same way we have been doing it, df, and then inside we filter by df has devil fruit, where this is equal to true. But now the little shortcut, because this column is already a boolean, we get away with it just by saying df and then has devil fruit. So just like this will return a boolean series, and that will be the filter for the data frame. So we get the same result as this. So now let's do an example if we want two conditions true with and. We have and or. Let's do and first. Let's do pirates who have a bounty and are not marines. So df of what? So now we need to put in parentheses because we are going to put two things. Okay, it auto suggested df age greater than 18 and has devil fruit. Okay, so Buggy and Alvida. Just because I guess Luffy is younger. So we need both of these conditions to be true, and we need to put them in parentheses. Without these parentheses, I think it will not work. We have the same age greater or equal to 20 and df has devil fruit equal to true. If we run this, no, it throws an error. When we need and, the syntax is we have to put parentheses. Now, instead of and, what happens if we do or? The or is this little weirdo symbol. So now we had greater or equal or has devil fruit. Let's return this to and do another line for this one. Let's the f and then what inside. So we're gonna have this or this, and then inside this side the f roll is equal to captain, or the f has devil fruit is equal to we don't need to put the equal to true, as this is already a boolean, right? And here we go. Either captain or has devil fruit. So that's why we get this, also these three, because they are captains. And I guess there are no devil fruit the f of what? The f, let me just do the has devil fruit again. We had already done this. We already did this. Yeah, because everybody that has devil fruit is a captain. So we get only captains. But anyways, it's either is a captain or has devil fruit. So now let's go crazy and do 3 conditions. Df, no, and then we are gonna do it like this. I like to do it first and this and this and one last one. Okay, so this is our structure. Data frame and on our square brackets, this and this and this. So 3 things true. What's the first one? So df of crew equal straw hat. Is that correct? Df of fights 1 is greater than 10. And df age is less than 19. So from the straw hats has won more than 10 fights and is less than 19 years old. So we get only one guy, our Captain Monkey D. Luffy. And what does the D stand for in Monkey D. Luffy? If you know, tell me. All right. One thing that I'm not sure it works, and no. So in Pandas, it's this symbol. Maybe because it was combined. Let's check this simple example. Because in regular Python, we use and. No. Okay. So in Pandas, always use these symbols we already saw. So now, what happens if we want, for example, let's do this first. Let's do df of, and then parentheses or parentheses, oops, sorry, parentheses. And here we say df crew is equal to straw hat, or let me just copy, or let's go with Arlong Pirates. Yeah, so I'm missing this little. Okay, so back to this. So we want either straw hats or Arlong Pirates on the crew column. And no one is from both, right? So, or, so either straw hat or Arlong, like this. And this is totally fine there's a, I don't know if it's a cleaner way or a simpler or more difficult, but it's definitely used a lot. So let me show you df. So it's df crew dot is in, and then it takes a list. So if the value in the column crew is inside the values in this list, it returns true. So straw hat are long pirates. So I don't know if you like this better or this is better, but anyways, this is used a lot. And another little very important little squiggly thing that's used a lot. Let me copy this and paste it on another line. This little squiggly line, what will you think it will do? So it's flips whatever this gives. So whenever it was true, switches to false, and whenever false, switches to true. So in other words, it's like saying it's not in this list. So all of them except the ones that are straw hats or are long pirates. Did I made any sense? So whatever this return, this little squiggly line flips it. So everything we have done uses this bracket notation, and there's another way to filter using a query method, and I find that easier to read. Let's do some examples of this query notation. So instead of putting conditions inside the brackets, like this syntax, like this syntax inside these brackets, we write the conditions as a plain string. Let's do the same filter as we did earlier, df dot query, and then inside string bounty without quotes greater than 0 and crew is not equal to marine. And notice I put double strings on the outside, and as marine is a string, it needs quotes, so I put single, so Python doesn't confuse. Let me see, because I think we will get an error if we do double. Let me check. Like this. Yes, because Python doesn't know where this one ends, right? It doesn't know that this is another one. So this is very common in Python. When we need quotes inside quotes, we switch them up like this. So notice now the keyword and works. Also with the or, we could have or. So it's either bounty greater than 0 or is a marine. Okay, now let's do a three condition. df dot query and then double quotes, crew is equal to straw hat, single quotes, and fights one is greater than 10 and age so crew is straw hat and fight 1 is greater than 10 and age is less than 19. So monkey D. Luffy. One more little thing. This is a variable I am making up right now. Mean bounty is equal to 20. And remember, these symbols are they are just separators. Python reads 20 million. So this is my variable mean. My mean bounty is this. So what happens if I want to use this variable inside a query? We need to use a special little symbol, the f.query double quotes bounty is greater or equal to, and that's our special symbol, an arroba, mean bounty. So this arroba tells the query function to look for a Python variable called mean bounty rather than a column name. Expression string here in the environment, prefix them with arroba character like this. All right, let's run this. Here we go. If the bounty is greater than or equal 20 million, it will return true and place that as a mask on our data frame and return a data frame applying that filter. So bracket notation or query, both are valid. So let me scroll up. Look at what we covered in this video. So we brought in a comma separated value file, which is this data, and we brought it using Pandas and converted into a data frame. And then we saw how to select one column, then select multiple columns. Then we saw how to drop a column, how to filter using greater than or equal to some string, not equal. Then we saw how when the series contains booleans, we can use this little shortcut or use that as the filter. Then we saw how to use multiple conditions using and, using or. And then instead of using the or, like we would have done here, where crew is either straw hat or arlong, we use this isin method that takes a list. And then we saw how to flip it with the little squiggly line symbol for not in this. And then we saw some examples using the query notation or the query method or query function. And finally, we saw this arroba to use variables inside our query. Okay, so that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.